Musk, wants to send a couple of tourists around the moon and back to Earth before the end of next year. If they manage that feat, the passengers would be the first humans to venture that far into space in more than 40 years. Musk said two private individuals approached the company to see if SpaceX would be willing to send them on a week-long cruise, which would fly past the surface of the moon, but not land, and continue outward before gravity turned the spacecraft around and brought it back to Earth for a landing. This would do a long loop around the moon. The company is aiming to launch this moon mission in late 2018. The two people would spend about a week inside one of SpaceX's Dragon 2 capsules, launched on SpaceX's Falcon Heavy rocket. The spacecraft would be automated, but the travelers would undergo training for emergencies. Mr. Musk did not say how much the travelers would pay for the ride. The Falcon Heavy itself has a list price of $90 million. Last week, a crewless Dragon capsule taking cargo to the International Space Station aborted its rendezvous because of a glitch. It successfully arrived a day later. 7 space tourists have paid tens of millions of dollars to fly on Russian Soyuz rockets to visit the International Space Station, which is about 200 miles above the Earth's surface. This would be a much more distant trip. The moon is about 250,000 miles away, and the trajectory would take the capsule 300,000 to 400,000 miles from Earth. No astronauts have ventured beyond low Earth orbit since the last of NASA's Apollo moon landings in 1972. NASA is working on a rocket, the Space Launch System, and a capsule, Orion, that would be capable of taking astronauts to deep space once again. But that first launch, without anyone on board, is scheduled for late next year, taking a path similar to what Musk has proposed for his space tourists. This month, NASA announced it is looking at the possibility of putting astronauts on the first flight, but officials say that would probably delay the launch to 2019. The rocket that SpaceX would use for the voyage is more powerful than its current Falcon 9 workhorse, but not as large as NASA's. SpaceX has a contract to take NASA astronauts to the International Space Station using the Dragon 2 capsule launched on the Falcon 9 rocket. That program has also encountered delays. SpaceX is scheduled to launch a crewless test flight this year and take its few NASA passengers next spring, although has cast doubt that SpaceX would be able to do that quickly.